Alright, welcome back to Nugget Garage. It's Tuesday morning. I came in yesterday to try and have my Monday to work on my cars, but realised that I actually have 3 weeks of work booked, so that'll have to start eventually. I then mucked around with these new GoPro Hero 9s and realised that I didn't know anything about the setup of them, so it's now Tuesday. Had pretty decent comments and a lot of phone calls, messages and whatever after that last video, mostly all positive. I think we had like 1,000 comments in a night, which is about 5 times more than we normally get total on a video's life. Most of them saying that I should keep doing what I'm doing and Chris should bugger off. And not really, actually a lot of them wanted Chris to stay, but ultimately that's not going to happen. So as a couple of YouTubers have given me some tips and pointers on how to make this vlog stuff work, hence why I've now got GoPro 9s. Bit wider lens, seems like I can get pretty close to things without losing the whole picture. I've had heaps of people offering me help, they want to come and hold a camera or come and work on the cars with me, but the reality is I could be here at 4 in the morning, I could be here at 10 at night. I can't expect someone to follow me around in my stupid schedule. So I'm either going to make it work myself or not at all. Also got to thank my dad. He came in this last week and did more work in a week than I could do in a month. He's crazy. So most of the structure in the shop is done. I've just got to clean up and try and figure out where to put everything. There's still a lot of stuff next door. So it'll take me 2 or 3 weeks to get that done. My daughter actually came in and painted a wall for me, which is the first one of my kids that's actually useful. Great. And this week I think I'll get Chris today to put all the under stuff back into Kevin, and tonight I'll fix that manifold up, do a dump pipe, and try and get Kevin running this week, because I hate pushers and it's a pusher, and I currently have 3 other pushers here. Alright, I'll grab the other GoPro and do some selfie stuff and show you around. Whoa, I hope we can do a blur or something on that. That's pretty hideous. So this is what the room sort of looks like, the second dyno cell. Yeah, you can see these cameras are far better. So I'm going to move that. Oh, I might not move that. I might leave the flow bench there and put something against this wall. We ran out of paint on the inside, but you can get the gist of it. Turns out MDF and concrete's quite hungry with paint. I think there was 6 litres just to get to here. 2 litres of black didn't even get that corner done. And I'm basically up to here. And I've got to do the roof. I put 5 fluoros in here, seems to be enough. I'll change them to LEDs, so a bit brighter. This wall now looks like grubby arse, so I'll have to repaint that. This room's been getting flogged with an inch of its life. Had a 1800 horsepower 4-banger in here over the weekend and it disrespected my wall, so I'll have to fix that as well. I'm going to put a couple more screens up here, 1 per cell, so the customers don't need to be near cars with engines and tyres and whatnot screaming its arse off. I'm going to try and figure out where to put all this machinery. Stupid cold. As for cars I've got in here at the moment, there's a little Honda. It's got a K-series, one of those sidewinder manifolds. We have to do dump pipe, exhaust, intercooler pipes. It's got some in and out one side, intercooler. This actually will be a Honda tune, Flash Pro I think it is. Supra's still here, but that's only because we're having trouble getting parts for it. So basically I think I'll cut here, and then next time you see me we'll be working on Kevin. Alright, so it's the next morning. Chris had a well, not really, but he did some work on this yesterday. Alright, as you can tell, I fixed the hoist speed up due to popular request. Chris has gone through yesterday between doing what else he does during the day, which I'm not totally sure what that is, and managed to bolt converter bolts, new bolts and whatnot in the crossmember trans cooler. I think he bolted the shifter cable on, but I don't think he actually adjusted that. This tail shaft loop may come in handy. I'm not sure if this tail shaft's up to the 9-second goal. I'll put the starter motor on. I think the alternator wire, charge wire is up there. Alright, I'll put it down and I'll show you what I got up to last night. Okay, so last night while some blokes were hiring the hub dyno, I stayed back and tackled that exhaust manifold. So I ended up just cutting the flange off and rotating it a little bit, and now it's about 10 mil under the bonnet. It's actually a bit more work than what it looks like, because I had to pull this turbo apart and it was stuck. Like, I had to use a heap of heat and a heap of industry standard techniques that didn't involve blocks of timber and hammers. Anyway, it survived. The oil drain, probably can't see down there. I had to remake that. The other one was cracked. The next problem I'm going to have is the dump pipe. I've got to make that. When Chris comes in today, he's going to be delighted when he finds out he has to put this side manifold on, and the crossover pipe, and the radiator. Golby's is sending me some full height 1700cc injectors. I had 780s in it before, and the problem with these things is the injectors are retained and there's nothing in the bottom of the manifold hole to actually stop the injector falling. I'm assuming the original injectors kind of sat on the body, so I need a full height injector with 14mm top and bottom O-rings. So Golby reckons he's got something from Bosch that does that. Turbo housing should be able to work as is. Compressor housing. Alright, I'll go and find the old dump pipe off the Supra and cut it up. Okay, this is the dump pipe off the Supra. I don't really think it's going to do much in the old Kevo. Nah. So I'll just cut the flange off it and we'll start making a dump. I've got to work out how to work and film. Not totally sure. I'm just going to do a 3.5-inch dump pipe. It's a little bit tight. You probably can't see, it's dark, but there was a 3.5 dump on it before, so I should be able to do it again. In fact, I might even try and cut the old one up and see if I can make it work. It's not a bad idea. Itchy stuff. Now give me a sec, I'll pull this crap off and cut that off and see if we can make it work. So it's probably not a bad idea trying to reuse that. Obviously it's going to fit mostly. Just going to have to put a little piece in there. I may have to put the car up and slide the bottom piece on and make sure it's in a location that's going to work, but that should be fine. Okay, I've tacked that in. I'm just going to put the car up quickly and just make sure that that bottom piece sort of lines up with where it used to be, and then if that's the case, then I'll weld it out. We're done. Alright, it's the next day, Thursday morning, 5 o'clock. I'm pretty tired. It was a big day yesterday. We got a fair bit done on everything. I'll show you a bit. So Dave started on this Honda. Started getting some pipes together. I think he's onto the dump pipe. We're waiting for the flange for the back of the turbo. We finally got the bits for this Supra, so he's knocked out a manifold and what's a 6-boost manifold that needed a bit of modifying, dump pipe, plumb back wastegate. That's all ready to go off for coating. I had a 350Z day yesterday. I started with Tyler's blue one, which was a supercharged VQ. I think that made 450 to 460. This thing's pretty crazy. It's got massive wheels on it. Young kids these days. It's just a stock JZ with a big single, big fuel system. I think I stopped at about 630 odd horsepower. Both these cars run Link G4X plug-in, like a replacement board for the stock ECU. Actually works quite well, integrates with the factory CAN. This one's actually using the VQ drive-by-wire throttle, and it has a problem with the TPS sub and main not following each other exactly right, so it's actually in setup mode at the moment. It's probably not ideal. So while I was doing all that, Chris did his best to put everything back into Kevin. So it's at this stage. I still got to make the intercooler pipe for this side. Now, I've got a confession. We did start it up yesterday afternoon. When we first cranked it, didn't have any injector, so those 750cc injectors had been sitting around, you know, since the motor's been apart with ethanol in them, which is a no-no, and they were jammed, so I pulled them out, chucked them in the flow bench of mess over there, and got them working, banged them on the wall a bit, and then it started up okay. And obviously I had to change a few things in the ECU because the characteristics of this engine are a lot different to what they were. And then it was sitting there idling, had a few leaks because, I don't know, Chris. And it was sitting there idling away, got the idle adjusted, so it was all sitting there nice and cammy and whatnot, and then it made this click, click, click noise and stopped, which was great. So we didn't know what that was. We pulled rocker covers off, turned the engine over by hand, you know, made sure all the valves all the collets were in there, nothing had fallen off, no valves had dropped, because that's what it sounded like to me. Notice it's got like a bit of a crank seal leak. So what we did then is we turned it over on the key with no ignition, and it was on 5 cylinders. You could hear one hole wasn't there, and then we did it again, and it was still on 5. Then we did it again, and it was on 6. So maybe it was a lifter issue. Hopefully it hasn't wiped a cam lobe or something, or a bolt or a nut or a washer or something's gone through the exhaust valve. Anyway, fired it back up again. Seemed to run okay, no noises. Still has a crank seal leak at the front. So then I did what any sane person would do. I set the rev limiter at about 5.5 and sat on it for 5 to 10 seconds to see what would come out, and nothing did. So here we are. So I've come in this morning and cleaned up all the oil, and we'll fire it up and see what it sounds like now. Of course, there's no cold start, or I haven't done anything like that, so. Or the idle screws wound out. That's not a possibility. Kevo's a bit of a sicko by the sounds of it. has a bit of a funny noise out of the exhaust, but in saying that, I haven't really heard it with this camshaft before, so at the end of the day, it did make a funny noise, and either something went through the engine or something hit something else. So I think we'll just run a compression test on it. It still sounds all right on the starter. So it's got 6 cylinders. Compression test will tell us, I guess. Alright, Kevin runs. That mystery noise is a bit of a worry. Probably adds an extra element of excitement to the dyno, which I'll do next week. Today I got a couple of biggish power RB, Power Glide and Jatco cars in, so I've got to clean this mess up and get into that. Alright, I guess I'll see you next week. Make sure you like and subscribe. You want to see if you can get the moment the rods come out?
Sorry, Kevo, your life is over as we know it. Righto, fire it up. No, start it up, don't fire it. So tell the truth now. There was a noise.
It kind of made a really funny banging, clangy noise and stopped.
And we don't know why.
We don't know why.
So we started
So it's
it. And now it's fine. Go, Kevo.
fine.